Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Mock Girl Summer, a Women of Fantasy Football mock draft show. I'm Wendi Earley, back for another season. I'm so excited to have my co-host Samantha Holt from Matthew Berry's Fantasy Life joining me for this season of all new mock drafts to get you ready for the 2025 fantasy football season. We're continuing our charity drafts, and this week we have Iggy Gilbert, who hosts the FF7. It's a charity tournament that benefits the Kawasaki Kids Foundation. We're going to be talking to Iggy a little bit further once we get started with the draft, as Iggy and Christina's son was affected by this disease. So Josh, my friend, can we get this show rolling, please? Hey, everybody, how's it going?
Yeah, so excited.
Sam's back. She was gone last week. We'll talk about the Scott Fishbowl draft later, but welcome back. I'm so glad to have you here. And we have IDP Iggy in the house.
Hey, it's so great to be back with you, Wendi. Sam, it's going to be awesome to do the show with you. And thank you for allowing me to come on the show and hang out with both of you.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've already got all these people jumping in the chat, you guys. I'm so excited. So there's a couple things I want to go over because Iggy, the scoring on this is different. So we also want to make sure that everybody knows who is in the draft, that it's one quarterback, two running backs, two wide receivers, one flex, one super flex, one kicker, one defensive lineman, one linebacker, one defensive back, and three IDP flexes. So Iggy, we're going to go into that wild scoring later on, but we do want to pull up the draft here so we can kind of start getting things going. Yeah. And are we ready, everyone?
So glancing at that as well.
What are you glancing at?
I said I'll be using my phone, so I will be glancing that if I
think there's a few other people that are doing that too.
Yeah. So, all right. And then is it PPR as well?
It is half point PPR.
So. Okay. Awesome.
All right. So here we go. And we have my friend Mike in the 101 spot. And he told me he is not drafting a quarterback, even in a super flex. So let's get this started and see if he's telling me the truth or if he was pulling my leg. Here we go.
That is super flex.
Yes. Yeah. So this is so exciting, you guys. I'm going to start trying to pull up some of these comments. We already have Eagles fans in the house. Look at that. We have Albert. Hi, Albert. We got all of our friends, you guys. And these are all people that are probably wanting to try this IDP. So this is really exciting. I made sure that we had Sniper Mel in this one. So, and she's going to be asking some questions about the points. And hello to all of our friends. Yeah. All right. So let me see. Did Iggy pick his... where is he at? Okay, after you pick yours, Iggy, I want to ask you a couple questions.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We understand that we have to be locked in as we're picking, so don't want to ask the most complicated question while you're on the clock.
I'm trying. I'm learning. Okay, I'm learning.
No. I'm just saying, Wendi, you do an amazing job of it.
Thank you.
Your setup is always great. So you never launching into something crazy, right? When you're
right. And Iggy, I would really like to know, could you maybe give everybody a little bit idea about this Kawasaki disease? Because I kind of feel it's almost like the quiet disease because you've heard of it, but maybe you're not really sure what it is. So can you go into that a little bit for us?
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. Kawasaki's disease is an autoimmune response to a virus that enters the body. Most of the time it's young children. Like I said, I found out because my daughter had it in 2020 and she was 10 months old. And it definitely changed us because we didn't know, our doctors were like, it's so rare to get, first off. And they were like, it might be polio, or not polio, it could be foot and mouth disease. It could be several other things that they had to rule out. And then at a week, we had to get flown to Children's Hospital. But the thing about it, for the most part, is, most of the children can't communicate what's going on with their body at that age, or, are really aware of what's going on. And, real irritable, swollen lips are some symptoms, high fever for over a week. But the key thing is if you address it early, most of the time, lifetime symptoms are negative. You're not going to have that impact. So the key is to detect it early. And I feel like raising awareness about it, because I had no clue what it was myself. I thought a Kawasaki was like a dirt bike or like
right. Yeah.
Like that's what I thought of. So, and I had to drive like 6 hours in the winter of Colorado up and over like 3 mountain passes because they could only have one parent in the jet. And my daughter Maya had it, and so my wife Christina, who Wendi, went through there, and I had to drive. And I don't remember much about it, but I just felt it was important to make awareness about what this is, because particularly because the people that are affected are more or less defenseless and helpless. So just
Right.
raising awareness about it. So hopefully if one family is able to be prevented just from hearing about this, and that's the whole goal of it all.
That's amazing. I know that you and Christina, you guys kind of like, put all this educational stuff together and you take it to local schools and things, don't you?
We went to rural hospitals because I live in a rural part of Colorado. So I felt like, that's somewhere we can help. And we looked at the Rural Hospital Network of Colorado, worked with the Colorado State Hospital Network, and we put a flyer out in Colorado, every rural hospital. And then we went to New Mexico and Wyoming. And next we're doing Montana. And I've been working with the Montana Health Association and trying to just, pinpoint where I could get all these, make sure the information is, by the guidelines within their state agencies. And that's what we continue to do. But this year, like the donations are all going to Kawasaki's Kids, which helped me and my family while we were at Children's Hospital, and, gave us, comfort things, informative things, but also helped us with housing because I was there for a week. And they're a really great organization. So I'm happy to represent them. I've been in direct talks with the CEO there, and it's all going to a wonderful cause.
Man, that's just amazing. I know I played in it for 2 years. I think I did better last year than I did the first year because IDP is not my thing. But that's what we're here to learn. I know Sam, you like your IDP, right?
I do love my IDP. My longest league that I've been in is IDP. When we first brought it in, I think we only had 3 starting players, but now we start 6. So much like the roster that I'm seeing here, we also have 2 DL, 2 linebackers, 2 DBs in our starting. So what's been amazing to me about it is the education that you get just focusing on defense as a whole and looking for those players that are really stand out and the ones that make a big difference for each of their teams. Because obviously just drafting your standard defense, you're just blanket for everything. But this one opens up so much more knowledge about the players for me, and just educating myself on who is the standout to look at for each season.
Love it.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Plus, it's more points. Just give me all of the points. Like, I want to just volume is king. Just give me all of the points. And it's so much better than just getting 10 points from your defense when you have 6 defensive players and you could get anywhere between 4 to 20 points from each of them. So it just really ends up rounding out your roster really well. And it actually can be like your sneaky win, especially if you're dealing with maybe one wide receiver gets injured, a running back gets hurt. You've still got this onslaught of warriors at defense that you can throw in there that can end up saving your week.
Well, I do have questions with the FF7 and the bye weeks. When you're drafting, let's just say when you're drafting, that's what we're doing tonight. When you're drafting, are you drafting like two cornerbacks, or if you have one really good one, is that because you don't have a deep roster? So do you just draft one good one and like dump somebody later on in the season and pick up somebody that needs to take over during that bye week of your star player?
And is that a question for me or Samantha?
Yes, that is for you, Iggy.
Yeah. I still think you can take like a stud and duds approach to IDP. But one great and beautiful thing about IDP is every year there are going to be players that very few of us discussed, very few of us mentioned, not even have on our like draft guide, which I give away in Fantasy Football Sevens once you join. And it's just like people pop out of the woodwork in IDP that you wouldn't expect, sometimes due to injury, but sometimes just to excelling in certain sub packages. And that leads them to playing in, predominantly more of their base package as well. And so there's always volume available on the waiver wire, unless it's, like a deep dynasty league or something. But for the most part, there's going to be players that just pop out of nowhere, which, happens on offense, but I feel like it's a little more rare. So you don't have to be as worried if you don't just nail the person to begin your draft, in my opinion, with IDP. Now, you want you want the high volume tacklers. This league rewards sacks quite well. So if you can get a person that can get you big games due to their division or bad offensive line play in their schedule, that is something you definitely want to exploit, because in this system, at least, once you get if you have TJ Watt and he gets 2 sacks, that's like a guaranteed 20-something point game. And then if you double down with the Steelers defense, you're going to get all those sack bonuses, all those yard losses as well. So it's a cool way, in my opinion, to double down or stack, what a lot of people call with the quarterback wide receiver. You can do that in this league with the sack artist and a
So you can stack IDP.
Yeah.
Who knew? I did not know this.
So many ways to play.
I guess so.
I think that's awesome.
The IDP-itis. That's you, Sam. I think they're saying you have that.
IDP-itis? Yeah. I mean, I think maybe it's a blindness, because it makes me really hate leagues where I have to just draft a defense. I feel like I'm drafting with an arm tied behind my back. I'm like, guys, we could be doing so much better. Why?
So Anne is kind of noticing, the draft is looking normal so far. So when do you typically see, when you have this many IDP players, when do you typically see the first one go off the board?
The answer is I've seen him go in the first round, because when TJ Watt gets a lot of sacks, or when somebody, because if somebody averaged 2 sacks a game, they would crush the NFL record. So that's how rare sacks are. But if somebody can get you that high volume sacks, Trey Hendrickson, who doesn't get a lot of tackles but gets a lot of sacks, or that person that can get you a lot of tackles like Roquan Smith, Levante David for a few years was just 130 tackle machine. The trick with that is finding a bad offense so that your linebackers are going to be on there and getting those several tackles due to that. So I don't think there's a right or wrong answer, Wendi, but okay. I typically like to create a base of my offense still, and then attack IDPs, because for the most part, people are going to wait to draft their IDP. So there's always great value, particularly with the draft guide, or with any kind of format where you can look up tackle volume and 4-3 defense and so forth. So I try to not make IDP intimidating, even with this scoring. But it is learning something new. So you have to be willing to take on that challenge as well. And you were a division champ, if I remember, Wendi. So
I was, yeah. Thank you.
There
you Don't ask me how it happened.
Wendi over here acting like she doesn't know what she's doing. Yeah, just low key. Wow, way to bury the lead there.
How do you play this? No,
I don't even know what I'm doing.
It was so great. I really enjoyed it. It kind of makes you go outside of your box a little bit, and that's why I wanted to have you on here, and to focus on the Kawasaki disease to get people a little bit educated. So we're doing good things with this hobby of ours.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Except Mel does say that she does not enjoy drafting with you. She's just being honest. Okay.
I'm a little hurt by that, Mel, but that's okay. We're both Packers fans, so
that's true.
We'll be drafting our players. So.
Gosh,
there's still spots available too, Wendi. I want to say we're right at 79. Real quick, let me look at the response.
Yeah. How many? You know what? I was looking. I just asked you today. I texted him. I'm like, did I not sign up for that? I don't think I did. I'm going to, obviously. But yeah, we're gonna probably be dropping the link here for you and stuff later too.
And I also just want to point out, we've already had a defensive player go, technically, because Travis Hunter was taken in round 2.
I did see that.
Just saying.
Yeah, and we see who that is.
Yeah, we see you. And just going to say it, I did take him in round 2 in Scott Fishbowl this past weekend. I was so excited.
Oh,
so excited.
Round 2?
Round 2. With the way that the scoring was.
But what spot were you drafting from?
I was the 2.
Okay.
Yeah, I was the 2, and I also took Josh Allen, same as I did here today. But I was hoping, I was like, is there a chance Hunter falls to me again? And clearly not. So I know I'm getting flack in the chat for taking Achane when I did, but you know what? When you draft with your friends, you are always sniped. There is no sneaky picks. Once you start doing this frequently enough, it's like, why are you sniping? It's like, well, it's because I know what you like and you know what I like, and this is how the circle goes around.
That's true. That's true. So you're just talking about TJ Watt. Now he's off the board, huh, Iggy?
Yeah, the potential
Why
is
would you
just so
say
high.
it? Dang it.
Yeah, and yeah, the
Well,
Steelers logo.
Samantha happens to be a Steelers
Yeah,
fan too.
there's no mercy,
Right
not even
there.
in mocking Sam. Yeah, I saw the Steelers logo,
No,
so
no,
I
no
knew he was
friends.
at risk.
No friends in fantasy football.
Alex Highsmith is still available though, so we're good. You know, it's not all
Yeah.
bad news.
There's still
So can
plenty
you
of
maybe-
opportunity for me.
Iggy, can you maybe answer Mel's question? She'd like to know what the defense points are.
Oh, yeah, the defensive special team points actually can score quite a bit, but they can still get negative, just like you could in your standard leagues, which some people may not enjoy. But the whole point with my defense was you start out with a high volume of it starts out with like 55 points. Now you would have to maintain a shutout, and you would have to keep the other opposing team under 100 yards to really have that really high of a volume. But the interceptions and sack bonuses and fumble recoveries are just as high as they are for the IDPs. So I tried to make it a double down, but the quarterbacks can score quite a bit in this league as well. So the way the scoring breaks down is I've been playing in this format for 13 years now, and the defense and the quarterbacks score relatively the same. The linebackers and the wide receivers score relatively the same. And then the tight ends score relatively the same as most defensive linemen that aren't dual credit on sleeper, and the defensive backs. Now the high end defensive backs, they're going to score higher, and then the kickers, they're kind of, they're not as high as the others, but they're higher than just your standard point. It's not as high as what we went to last year in the Scott Fish Bowl, but it's still relative to have a good kicker. In fact, Fantasy Football 7's 3, Tyler won due to Chris Boswell. They both had the same players, with Chris Boswell being the difference, and he made like 4 field goals that night, back when Big Ben wasn't throwing anything in the end zone anymore. So Boswell went off, and the kicker was the difference in the league. So, and like Sam said, it's all about the points for me. I want us to score as many points as possible. Now, not from just like a decent performance, from a good performance. You should be rewarded with high points, whether it's defensive players, kickers, offensive players. And that's kind of been my philosophy since I became a commissioner way back in the day.
That's awesome. You're on the clock.
Yes,
I'll jump in here.
Yep.
While you were talking about the scoring, and as soon as you started saying, the benefits of quarterback scoring in this league, I was just watching my cue and waiting, and I was like, please don't let the sniping of quarterbacks start happening now. And of course,
it happened.
Bing, bing, bing. But I did want Justin Herbert. I got him in a Scott Fish Bowl as well. So for me, I'm doubling down where I'm confident at QB this season. I was like, I just wanted to get my guy, and I'm not sweating anymore because I like my Lad McConkey, Justin Herbert stack. I got that in Scott Fish as well.
Well, yeah. I noticed there's still a couple teams without a quarterback. So through these first, 4 rounds, we're almost through 5. But is there any team that's kind of sticking out to you, Iggy, that you're liking?
I do like that stack, the Herbert McConley stack, but I got to go with somebody else that I think would approve of that, and that's my man Rico there. He's a big Chargers fan, so I know he'd approve, but he's got a really balanced team right now. Locked down both his quarterbacks with Mayfield, who I think is going to have another great year. Mahomes, I think, is due for another year. Look how Pacheco's being drafted. Somebody on that offense is going to have to produce. It's not going to be Kareem Hunt. It's not going to be Pacheco. Then it's going to be up to Mahomes to score a lot of touchdowns, I think, because I don't think their defense is going to be as good in the past. He did sneak away with 1 Charger. That would be my only negative comp right there. I still believe in Harris. But then Devontae Smith, high volume wide receiver paired with Chase, a high volume wide receiver. So there's just a lot of balance to that team.
What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, I agree. That's a really well-balanced one as well. It's always interesting in these super flex formats to watch people that are waiting on QB, how they're stacking at volume at their skill positions. So looking at Duarte with Jefferson, Nakua, Henry, Cook, and then Goff, that top 4 stack is just so delicious. That is a tasty stack of wide receivers and running backs. That is such a good high floor chunk of players right there. And then to go with Goff, who is going to be throwing plenty, I think is a solid move. And then we've got Myles Garrett going to that team. So, I hate it, but I love it. Love hate.
Love to hate. Yeah.
It's a love to hate. Yeah. But it's a good pick. It's a hell of a pick.
So, yeah, we did have a pretty good quarterback run there. I know you're coming up on your turn there, Iggy, but when you have a chance to I want to know, why was there no exact, there was no actual tight end position?
Yeah. So that's, you want to hear I don't know why.
And Mel is the one that pointed that out, by the way.
No,
It's a
that's
great
a great
question.
point, Mel. Like I said, I've been a commissioner of this kind of style for 13 years, 14 years. And the first year we did it, though, I put a true premium in. I don't know why I'm blanking on our guy on Sirius XM in the morning, Ratcliffe. And he said this, and he was like, if you want to put a true premium on tight end, start 2 of them. Well, we did that. And it was so terrible. Like, you were starting tight ends that were scoring point like 0.04, just something terrible. And it was a requirement. And after that, we got so burnt from that move, that they gave me a lot of grief, and rightfully so. That I just like, well, look, we'll just X-nay the position. But what's cool about fantasy football sevens is you can start 2 tight ends, and it's not a premium. It's something I've bounced around the idea with JC about adding a 0.25 to it, or maybe a 0.5 to give the tight end a premium. But I just feel like there's really good tight ends coming in this like past 3 or 4 years. The tight end position has really become more prevalent as teams use more 12 personnel, as people look to expose safeties or defensive ends that can't, play as well against the run. They're more like pass specialists. So I feel like the tight end position has become a lot more prevalent. And you can still start 2 tight ends. You could go out there and get Bowers, and Kittle, and just rock with 2, Western Coast teams, or, not Oakland's in Las Vegas now, but you can still rock with 2 great tight ends and not have to worry about your flex. I think that's the beauty of it. But in such a deep league, this is a 16-team league, whenever you're drafting in fantasy football sevens, and you only have 5 bench. So I look at it as more strategy. If you want to roll tight end, guess what? You've softened up your other positions, but you don't have to play with a tight end if you'd rather have 4 wide receivers or something along those lines.
I like that flexibility. I think that's so nice for those that like to try different strategies in different leagues as well, because I feel like, as a fantasy degenerate, like I feel like many of us are, I like playing in different types of formats so I can try different things every single year. So for me, I'm always looking for something different.
That was part of it, Sam. Just let the creativity, let the strategy, because I've seen different styles win. Like I think almost every league winner last year had a tight end. Maybe Scott Frankel didn't. I can't remember. I'd have to go back and look, but most of them did, actually, because it's becoming such a deep position.
Yeah. And actually, as we've been talking about IDP and we've been watching the run on defensive players go, I mean, Sam Laporte is still there. So like, that's the other thing that's really fun about leagues like this in this format, is it ends up changing a lot of your standard rankings because you're trying to go for the bonus and points. And with the way that this scoring is for the benefit for the defensive players, it does end up moving your tier, specifically at tight end and some of those mid-round running backs, moves them down because you're looking for the high floor, and it really gives you that kind of opportunity, and great players just like slide down.
I mean, and one more point, Wendi, is like on a bye-week Armageddon, week 8 this year. I mean, you have talk about flexibility. It's more like survival.
Yes.
Like,
oh my gosh.
It's like, okay, how are we going to do this? I'm going to start, whoever. I got to stream them this week. There's no other option. So
right.
It's totally a benefit.
Survival of the flexes.
Hey, look at that. Didn't do so bad on the auto draft, huh? Hey, there's our friend Rick. Hi, Rick. We got Kim. Kim's in the house. I love her. I love all of our friends here. Thank you guys so much for coming. I knew Ryan was taking him. I knew it.
Yeah, of course. I feel like he's going to end up being a lot of targets for a lot of different types of formats for so many reasons this year. And it's just because, I mean, we honestly don't know what his split is even going to be between defense and offense yet. But it's just the idea of the potential of everything, I think, is just too exciting to pass up. And you don't want to not be on that train this year.
Hey, Rick, I saw you said hi earlier.
Yes, he did. Sniping is a squared flat circle. Thank you. Thank you, Scampers.
Scampers is the best.
Did you see Scampers this weekend?
I did. I think that I was maybe on my 3rd margarita and I just yelled at him and I was like, Scampers! And then I ran away because I saw something shiny. But like, I hope it was nice. Scampers, it was nice seeing you. I don't feel like I remember much after that. It was a very fun time.
We're glitching there, Mel says.
Oh, no.
That's not a bad pick, though.
Pretty. There's no excuses now. Come on now.
All right. Now this is the point where I got to check my roster and see how things are rounding out, because that's the other thing with defense is I do need to remind myself defensive line versus linebacker, and then like just that split between those two. The DB I never get lost on, but it's those two where I'm like, I already got one, dang it. And then I end up loading up and like 4 linebackers deep, and I'm like, oops. Well, I just got excited.
And this is not Dynasty, just so.
No, not Dynasty.
But my league that I play IDP in is Dynasty.
Oh no!
So
that is mind blowing. I cannot even imagine. We all know how Wendi feels about Dynasty.
Yes, we do.
Okay,
Iggy, let me tell you about this league though. Dynasty, Superflex, half point PPR. Again, those 6 IDP spots. It's a salary league with 13 keepers a season. 3 of those can be rookies, and we have a rookie draft as well. And so we also have a salary cap going into the season. You can't go over a certain amount.
That's too much.
And then when you're in the season and you're trading and also picking up players off waiver, we have a salary cap as well. So we have like a bring in and a spend high. And I've had to pay the penalty twice. Because I end up spending too much in season. And I'm like, you guys, it's shopping. Like, why are you doing this to me? This rule is a Sam rule. It's not fair.
No, I would be interested. What is y'all salary for y'all season per season?
Per season, you start the season with your max at $300. And then the in-season cap is, I think, $450. And I say I think because I always end up going like right next to it. But yeah. And then we also have different contracts for every player. So rookies are on a 3-year contract, and then you can have different player contracts as well. So that also plays into it. So like for right now, my most expensive player is Jamar Chase, and I have him at $99. So I have to round out the rest of my roster going into the draft, because you have to have a minimum or a minimum of 250.
Sam, you're on the clock.
I'm on the clock. Thank you. You have to have a specific amount going into the draft because you have to finish out your roster, and so you can't miss out on players.
That's
nice. That was long-winded, but it was.
Right, that's that's strategy. There's a lot involved right there. I love it. I love fantasy for the strategy, and also the camaraderie. That's all what it's all about.
Oh yeah. If you don't have a spreadsheet where you have people getting mad at each other across it, do you even love?
What are you doing with your life?
Like, what are you doing? If you don't have a spreadsheet that's got multiple tabs and you have to elect a treasurer as well as like a trade person, and you have the commissioner, so you have like a tiers level of like a panel that you have to deal with, and you're like, do you even play fantasy? Like, no.
2-year terms,
Yeah, 2-year terms. Someone that's watching the contracts, and it's there, and you have to always send your trade to one person so that it's mutual, like everyone knows, and then it happens in the spreadsheet, and then it happens on ESPN. It's a whole thing.
It's a lot going on. And something I noticed, Iggy, I don't even know if you knew this. Both of your quarterbacks, their last names end with Nix.
Next, and I always name my team after players on my roster, so I would have to.
Well, then so I want to know what you're thinking about Michael Penix. What do you think he's going to do this year? Is this breakout year finally?
I mean, are we in a world where checkdowns are really that bad? I mean, can he just check it down to Bijan and Bijan does his thing? I mean, but Drake London has proven to be an amazing wide receiver, and I think that he's got time to develop with Penix. I think this is going to be the first time to have, a quarterback maybe an entire season, or, so Kyle Pitts, for what it's worth, I don't know, but Ray McLeod's underrated. I just think there's very good options over there. Tyler Algier is an underrated running back as well. I just think Penix has so many, weapons around him, and I think the Falcons might have the best defense in the NFC South. The Saints are aging out. Carolina's still shuffling around, and Tampa Bay's got a good defense, a great defensive-minded coach. But I just think Atlanta has the playmakers with Walker. I don't know if you got Walker, Sam, in your IDP draft as a rookie, but I think he's going to step in immediately. And there's just playmakers at all 3 levels. Bates, why am I blanking out? Not on Ledman. Ellis he's a star, somebody's going to, probably already got him. I haven't been able to pay attention to everybody's picks, but I think that the Falcons are set for a great year, a great defense, playmakers around him. He just has to go out and just, kind of play confidently or mistake free. And I think he's going to put up great numbers.
And I think you are the only team with 3 IDPs right now. Look at you. Imagine that.
It's like he knows the format, so he knows how to win. It's something like that.
So do you agree? So what do you think about this, Sam? What do you think? IDP matters heavily on scoring, but do you think they should have return yard premium?
I think that would be awesome if they added that in.
More points, right?
More points. I'm not going to say no to more points. And there's something to that as well. I think, when you look at the skill set of the position and what it requires of them, why not add that in when we are also looking at those things for our running backs, for our receivers, for our tight ends? I mean, for rushing yards for quarterback, everyone gets excited about a dual threat quarterback because of their ability to run. And that's, I think, a forgotten skill that all of these defensive players have. They run. They don't just stop the ball. They're not just a wall that just doesn't move. They're all very talented athletes, and I think that'd be amazing to add that level of scoring in. Again, just give me all the points.
Yeah.
All the points.
Doesn't matter. Just points.
Doesn't matter. Just give me points.
Sam Laporta is a tough sell.
I mean, he
I'm
fell
really
all the way
sad
to
about that.
What? He fell to the 8th round.
Yeah.
But it was because we started talking IDP, and I think it was kind of like the quarterback run that happened when we were speaking it into existence. I don't think it's Laporta's fault. I don't think it's his fault. It's just circumstances. It was the weather. We were talking about other things.
He's
the climate of the chat.
He'll be great. The Lions are still going to be great. I'm not too worried about them losing Ben Johnson. I think they'll be fine. So no fluke. And what's interesting is, like, I get to watch 7 leagues draft, and like you'll see the run way earlier, and some leagues won't start drafting IDPs till 10th round, 11th round, because nobody's made that move. But like in the leagues where somebody's drafted in the 1st or 2nd, it's just like monkey see, monkey do kind of thing, and our fear of missing out possibly. But it's interesting to watch because like I told you, Wendi, there's no set time on when's the right time to take it. And it's like a rule of drafting that we all know about. Pay attention to the board when you're in your real draft, and you make your best moves. You either can zig while others are zagging, or zag while others are zigging, or build your roster true to what you think is happening to the board.
I think that's amazing. The FOMO-itis that happens mid-draft, I think, is so, like, you nailed it. Because as soon as something happens, it's that fear of missing out on a player, and you're like, but they got that guy, so I need to get my guy. And then the reaches happen, and then other people get to benefit. So I think it's totally right. When others zig, you should totally be zagging and sticking with your strategy.
Oh, my goodness. What is a Devi IDP league? Do you know, Iggy, that Rick is talking about? I don't understand that.
Yeah, Rick has broke that down for me. I believe it's whenever you get the people coming out of college as Devi. I do not play Devi myself, but it's like you have the rights to them, or like it might be that you get to incorporate their college stats with your like fantasy roster, which is insane to me. 30 NFL teams.
It's too much. I can already tell you it's too much. I didn't even really need to know what it was because it's too much.
Yeah, it can be convoluted, that's for sure. But
yeah.
it's fun.
But Rick has just jumped on board though. He's really liking all that IDP stuff.
Rick is an IDP head, so I mean, I feel like I've been playing IDP a long time, playing 15 years with, there's people that have been playing just decades long, or, right around there as well. So, and it's fun. Like Samantha says, it's hard for me to go to leagues and know that I'm just doing something standard. Like we just had our fantasy alarm mock, staff right, and no IDP. And I'm just like, I want to take an IDP right now because this mid-range is absolute garbage.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. It solves the garbage middle. It solves it completely, because then when you're seeing these players go late, you're like, yeah, I feel okay taking this player in the 10th and 11th round because you've got this lovely middle. Yes. Spot
on the clock, Iggy.
Oh, thank you, Wendi.
Yep. You are very welcome. So look at that. Penix in the air conditioning for 4 games a year is pretty solid.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
I'll go. The other B Robinson.
Hey, look, Cindy Q's here. You know what? I am going to see Cindy Q and Carl on Sunday in Chicago because Carl's drafting in Chicago this year for a Scott Fish Bowl.
Oh, SFB Chicago's this weekend?
Yeah, we're on Sunday.
Nice. Yeah, I know that Phoenix Scott Fish Bowl is this weekend. I was gonna try and make it out there with Kelly. I've got work stuff, so I'm not gonna be able to make it. But then I've got other people that are like, "You should come to Chicago." I'm like, "When's that?" And I'm like, "I definitely can't go," because
Yeah, it's this Sunday.
yeah.
Dang it. You know what? We have Stephen
I'm gonna
Johnson does all of the stuff for ours, and he does an amazing job. We're at Maggiano's in downtown Chicago this year. I mean, it's a great Italian restaurant. I'm so excited. Bob Lung is attending.
All right.
Nice.
And Cheat Nate is coming as well. So we're super excited. We feel like we're hosting royalty, you know? So, and not to mention Carl and Cindy Q are coming. I love that. They were in Vegas as well. And, you know, that's just the camaraderie like you were talking about earlier, Iggy. You know, these are all of our friends. They're all of our friends now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, and it's so weird because you can request to play with somebody. So Wendi and Scott were put together because Scott requested Wendi last year, and you know, Scott putting it on the Vegas you know, live. He's inviting me every year. I've never even been to Vegas. It's crazy. You know, everywhere I live out west, it's only like 7 hours for me if you drive it, you know. But I've never been. I was like, Frank, you know, if I go do a live Scott Fish, I'll make sure I'm there in Vegas with you, man. And you know, just like we talked about with Scott, there's just so many great people there, you know, other people that were live at Vegas as well. So yeah, get out there. I can't wait to live draft at the expo this year. You know, I believe we'll probably be in the same room again. I don't know how they'll do us again, but you know, it'll be fun, Wendi. And yeah, just that's what it. You know, everything basically, you know, comes down to relationships to me. No matter if it's work or, you know, school or whatever. And yeah, you know, drafting and fantasy sports is no different.
Well, Vegas, Sam, since you were in Vegas, it's got to be hot there. I don't care if you're in a pool. Come on.
It was hot.
It's a dry heat. Okay.
It is a dry heat. It is very much like when you preheat the oven and then you open it and then you bend down to put the cookies in and then you just hit. And it's just like a wind.
And your eyelashes and your eyebrows melt off. No, thank you.
And then you're like, I wanted to eat these cookies, but now I can just smell burnt hair because everything is gone. No, yeah. Just kidding. I don't cook like that. No, just saying, like, it was very hot. And I feel like it was hotter on Friday than it was Saturday, but Saturday was quite windy. And so it was a very hot, windy heat.
I heard it was like 30-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. The guys were doing their best to make sure these draft boards did not fall over. Poor Sal. He was just standing there with the tape and the binder clips around every single one. And we had 3 boards and we were up against a wall so that we were trying to get protected from the wind. But it was just like, sometimes you got a gust and it was like this ripple and all the boards were just like moving. It was a whole thing. But it was so nice because everyone, again, the camaraderie is so great at Scott Fish amongst all other leagues as well. But when one of us would jump in the pool, we would say like, I'm drafting from my phone, but I'm in the pool. And then you'd have a sticker mate run up and put your stickers up. So it was like, we would like rotate who was going to be the one doing all the stickers. So it wasn't just on one person, but everyone got to like enjoy the entire ambiance because I mean, Circus Stadium Swim is pretty amazing.
I mean, just
the pools
the
are
videos
incredible.
and the pictures. I was just like, I really would love to do that, but Wendi is wimpy. Okay, like I want. As April said, April and I were talking about it earlier. Give me a roof. Okay, I don't want to be out in the sun.
There was a roof. There was a roof. So in the area we were at, we're in the owner's suite VIP area sections that they have. So you've got this open area where you can go and sit, but then because it's VIP, you've got this inside part. People are hanging out on the couches. There's TVs in there as well, and then there's like a fan. So you would have been out of the sun if you had done that. That was an option.
Okay.
But there are no umbrellas at Circa because they would get in the way of the giant TV. So that is
well, yeah, that's
that is
understandable. That's understandable. But you know what? If you're in the pool drafting for Scott Fish Bowl, it can't be that bad. It's got to be.
Life is not that hard when that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
Now, Iggy, are you drafting live anywhere?
No, not. I mean, just not for Scott Fish Bowl. I am in the Nuggets League for the Colorado area, but nope, I'm not drafting live for Scott Fish this year. But I will be drafting live at the Expo. So, like I said.
Okay, yeah. Is that in the Kings Classic?
That will be the Kings, yeah, with the IDP, run by Gary. Great.
Yeah.
That's another thing too. Like it's about camaraderie, but if you have a bad commissioner, kind of ruins it. Sam, we had a treasurer back when we were all in college and did it. It's like, no, you can't have everything. I was like, okay, we'll have the treasurer and somebody that can veto my veto,
Yes,
or
it's
whatever we need to
important.
do, which I never vetoed anybody. I don't want to give that impression, So
Yeah. Oh, so it looks like Rick will be Sunday in Dallas with my bestie. I see Bob Harris and Casey Kasem. I know there's gonna be so many people there. I know it's like you see all these, you want to go to all of them, because they're all your friends.
It's so frustrating. I would love to go to so many of these. Like if these had been staggered any differently, I would have just been like, you know what? This is what credit cards are for. And then you just like go to all of the drafts because also the cities are really fun. So yes, Vegas is hot, but also when you're not drafting, you're in Vegas. And so you get to go and have dinner at awesome restaurants and go and check out different clubs and things. So it's a good time. We had an amazing time. The crew went out for karaoke on Saturday night as well. So that was really fun. Some people got into a Robin Thicke concert randomly, which was also like super cool to see people do. A bunch of us just went out for like dinners and lunches. It was so much fun.
Well, I was in Vegas in April. I had never been to Vegas either, Iggy. That was my first time. My daughter and I went to WrestleMania, which was an amazing time. But the thing was, I got to have a night I got to spend with April. We went to dinner. We went to a show. I got to go out with Scott Frankel and Kenny. And, these are all people that I've met through fantasy football, and it was just an amazing time. My daughter was with us and, she is not into that stuff, but I'll tell you what, April took us to a show and it was amazing. And even my daughter liked it. So it was very successful. So I just love it. I can't wait to see everybody on Sunday. There's a lot of people in the chat that I'm going to be seeing. And look at that. Vince is hosting the live event in Sydney. That is so awesome, Vince. I love that.
It used to be like one of my goals. Like I wanted to go to the best, sports parks across the country. And you can go to Wrigley, then go to MSG, catch a basketball game, then, go catch a football game. I don't know, Lambeau Field. But now it's like, let me just go draft Scott Fishbowl in Sydney. And then, where we can go London from there. And, because you're going to be hanging out with way better people. There's great people at stadiums, but you're going to have interpersonal relationship. So maybe I just switched over, sorry, MSG. I got to go first of all around the world, it'll be a lot of fun.
Speaking of my bestie, everyone, look who's in the house. Okay, Bob Harris is in the house, everyone. And that is a perfect segue to mention the WOFF Gods and Goddesses tournament because he is one of our gods. So I'm so excited about that. So as a reminder, it is open for signup. So all the details are on the WOFF Twitter page. This year's leagues will be in the form of a new tournament, the Gods and Goddesses of Fantasy Football. Our great sponsor, the Gridiron Goddess, will be supplying party favors and prizes, and you'll have a chance to play against some of the biggest names in fantasy football. Like Bob Harris, you guys, all in the name of women's sports. So get signed up because it's filling up fast. And also a shout out to Gridiron Goddess, Susan. She is all about celebrating women in sports, and we are celebrating women-owned businesses as well. So do us a favor and go and check out www.thegridirongoddess.com. Susan does a lot of great things to help women kickstart their love of fantasy football, and she even has a shop. She has shirts, hats, koozies, trophies, so be sure and check it out, thegridirongoddess.com, and use promo code WOFF at checkout to save yourself 15% off your order. That's promo code WOFF at thegridirongoddess.com to save 15%. So you guys get over there and get signed up for that. It's going to be awesome. All right. Say
Wendi over here just crushing all of the reads, just crushing.
That's what I'm here for. It's what I'm here for.
No, you do an amazing job of it.
And we have Andrea saying hi to Bob.
I'm doing it. I took the MVP of the Steelers.
Oh,
Chris
look
Boswell.
At that.
Boswell, look at you
the
go.
MVP.
If we get to the playoffs,
that really might not be that far off.
No, I don't actually think that was a reach. I don't think it was.
Hey, true to Tomlin philosophy. I mean, great defense. We'll go down there. We'll get inside the red zone and we'll kick a field goal. Nothing wrong with that.
And we have Hoove Tube in the house. I have not seen Hoove in so long, and I didn't want to bother him. So hi, Hoove. Thanks for joining us. And how long is he going to have to wait?
I mean, considering it's IDP, he might go undrafted. There's so many other players everyone's grabbing.
And our goddess is well in the house.
You guys can play with me too.
Yes, please.
Now, is it against the rules if I go and play against Bob Harris? If I'm a goddess in my own league?
Nope. You can go for it. You can go for it.
I just want to hang out with Bob.
Who doesn't?
I know. Yeah. I'm not going to go to the expo this year. Can't.
I'm so sad.
I know. I'm so bummed. But when I think about reasons why I'm sad to go, like not getting to see Bob Harris is like top of the list.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I just want my Bob Harris hug and hang out. He's the best.
It is. It's always like a good feeling when you see Bob coming to you. And usually he's yelling your name before you see him. So
I know the legend that he is, and you're like,
he knows everyone's name. How is that?
You're amazing. How?
All right, so I'm going to do the double down. I took the Steelers defense, the true MVP there with the Steelers defense and TJ Watt.
So this is interesting. So you can take individual players, and then you also get the stacked scoring of the whole defense?
You do. And like I said, if you get the sack or an interception or a pick six, man, if you get a pick six in this league, it is highly rewarded.
Points on points.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just this way to do. We get kickoff return points for the special teams and in the individual. So it's just I try to make every stat count that seem reasonable to me. I don't give points for attempts that much because everybody should be attempting whatever their job is.
I think that's a good life motto.
You're not getting points for doing your job.
You don't get points for attempting
to do the job.
Right,
if you excel, now you get points.
We want you to do more than just attempt.
Points.
We want you to win. I like it.
And it is a slow draft as well, so I'm thinking about doing one fast draft, maybe if we need to get like a bunch of latecomers that come. But yes, I like slow drafting, honestly. Do y'all have different opinions on that?
I love a slow draft, but I think what's nice, like when having just done Scott Fish, is obviously you're live drafting, and there isn't technically a clock because everyone's running around talking to people. But at the same time, what's nice is you have that sense of urgency. So I think it's nice when you get to start a draft and at least go like 4 rounds or do something, and then it switches to slow, just because then you have again that much more trash talk that's available because you guys are all in the chat at the same time, and you can have you sniped me, how dare you, and it's like, well, you took my running back.
So a lot of the fun. Yeah,
it makes it does add to the fun. So I kind of like the combo of both when I can.
I agree.
I think there's so many, different time zones and things like, there's international players. And so I think you kind of have to be patient with the slow drafts. And sometimes people aren't, but it's tough.
No.
Sometimes they're not. So we want everyone to know, to be patient.
I'm at work and I'm in a meeting. I don't care.
I don't care. It doesn't matter. If no one's in an ambulance, you should be drafting.
Yes, exactly. Are you awake? You should be drafting. Check the clock. It's summertime when you wake up and the first thing you do is check Sleeper to see if you're on the clock.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how you know.
And they're all going to be coming too. My goodness. When does the FF7 start, Iggy?
Well, originally I like to do it the Saturday after July 4th, but this year I was going to do it Monday. But then our guy again, Scott Frankel, he's like, man, most of the Scott Fish Bowls are starting, the slow drafts are starting that day. So what I'm going to do, Wendy, I was going to announce it here, and I'm going to email everybody as well.
Oh, yay.
It was scheduled for the 7th, but we're going to push it to the 12th. Started on the weekend. Like Sam said, maybe we can get, 2 or 3 rounds in before we get to Monday, or through Saturday preferably. But, so we're going to move it to the 12th, so that way people aren't having to juggle 2 drafts if they want. And it'll still be fun. We'll still have plenty of time. That's why I tell everybody, like, trust me, we started on the 12th. Or we started mid-July. It'll finish before September. It's going to happen.
We promise it will.
Right, Andrea? It is. It's I enjoy it. Now, you're only, like with Scott Fish, 10 rounds on a live draft and they're cutting it off, right? Is that how it went, Sam?
Yeah, I think we Well, because we also were staggered because we had the 10 a.m. and then we had the 1 o'clock draft. So what we did was we said we were going to do
my
stickers
goodness.
until the 8th round, and then we would swap boards. But they wanted everyone to keep picking through 10, and then it would switch on to the slow drafts, just because we were trying to stagger time. I think it got a little bit blurry in the middle, and some boards stayed up, or they just moved to a table, and everyone was running with stickers anyways because we were just having too much fun. But it was a really good format to do it that way.
What about the people that weren't drafting at Circuit? Or they were like just like not knowing what was going on, or what was everything?
So we did have a couple people that had some things come up and they had to draft remotely. They had to draft from wherever they were. But they were in the chat, and we all jumped in and said, we'll put your sticker up for you. Don't worry about it. So again, it was just a really big kind of team moment of everyone having each other's back for stickers. And then because the people that are drafting away are a lot quicker with the trigger because they obviously want to keep things moving, it was a lot easier to then go to the next person and be like, as soon as I get their player, I'm getting their sticker. You better have yours ready. So it was like a really fun back and forth of just trying to keep people moving and drafting. But yeah, no, it was good. And then there were different parts because again, it was Vegas that some people disappeared. And then we were like, where are you? I'm back in my room. I'm laying down. I'm like, okay, but you're on the clock. I'll get your sticker, but you gotta push a player. So that was pretty funny. The bottom line is we had each other's backs whenever we weren't present.
There you go. That's
the
the bottom line, right?
Yeah.
Iggy, how many?
You're good.
How many rounds are in the FF7 this year?
So we're doing everything but the bench, and the bench is only 5, which I'd keep on purpose with 16 teams. This many players. I like movement. I don't like things to get stale. I mean, a dynasty league, that's fine. In a redraft league, I feel like, you need to have moving pieces, make decisions. So your bench is only 5. So our total is 20. Still most standard drafts, but the roster requirements are way bigger.
I don't know what to do here. I'm about to auto draft.
Here's a code.
I'm so scared.
Yep, that's exactly right. That's what he just said. Yep.
Yeah, you're gonna have to kind of pick your poison, and you can't have backups at every position in this league. It's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna have to pick. I'm not a big bye week drafter. I know some people set their whole board by the bye week. So I just love strategy. This year's theme is board games. I grew up playing so many board games. I can play almost every board game probably made before 1995. And it's just the beauty of it to me is like, how are you going to go about winning, because it's about the camaraderie, but, we all would like to win, Wendi won the division, so there's all hearts of competitors, I feel like, for the most part in fantasy football. Now, Joey, he was there in Las Vegas too, right? He's my favorite, least competitive fantasy football person. He's just fantasy football person in general, but, I want to win. I don't know about everybody else. I do want to win.
I want to win too. I did snipe Joey a couple of times, and I just got the deadpan Joey face of just like,
yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. It happens.
Take anyone on in Scrabble for $20.
Oh, my weakness. I'm great at
you like it?
I'm terrible at Scrabble.
Oh, you're not good at Scrabble?
No. Spelling. Thank goodness we have corrective spelling for the most part.
Oh, Josh being a good sport and taking a shower.
Baker Mayfield from Joey?
Who took Baker? I don't remember who did. I can go back to the team though. In the Scott Fishbowl draft, I've got.
Yeah. Do you have your team handy there, Sam?
100% I do.
Okay. Can you rattle it off for us during this last round? We're almost done.
Yeah, sure. Wait. Who took Baker Mayfield? That was the question from Joey. Let's see. Oh, Shervon took him, and that was. Let me see.
Oh, I saw a video. He was just shaking his head.
Yeah, he was quite upset. Well, in their defense, Joey took Kenneth Walker, and then 2 picks later, Baker Mayfield went. So he could have had him.
Oh well,
he could have had him. This isn't like the other way around, where before it got to his turn, he passed. So Joey, if you're on, it's your fault. It's your fault. But yeah, I can run through my Scott Fishbowl team real quick.
if you don't mind.
Okay. Yeah. So it's going to look a lot similar to the start of this draft because
Okay.
I've got
I
vibes.
like it.
But I went at 2. I went Josh Allen, Travis Hunter, Lad McConkey, Alvin Kamara, Caleb Johnson, Justin Herbert, Chris Olave, Tyler Warren, Khalil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid, Jake Ferguson, Ramondre Stevenson, Jack Beck, and I took Matthew Stafford in the 14th. Because obviously it's super flex.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure I shored up the position well, but because of the format, obviously everything else is flex too. You just wanted to get such a density of high floor players plus the tight end premium, which is why, you hear the 3 tight ends off my team. But I've also got lots of little stacks with my quarterbacks. So I've got, Lad McConkey and Justin Herbert. I've got Josh Allen and Khalil Shakir, plus Dalton Kincaid. So I've got a lot of little back and forths there. I don't think I have another Rams player, but I also did manage to grab Caleb Johnson like I did here. So
Okay.
happy camping.
Well, let's look at the draft here. What are you thinking, Iggy? Would any team standing out to you here now that
I haven't been able
finished?
to look at all of them. Let's look at your team though. Or let's see. Pretty much the same, like you said, Allen, HN, McConkey, JSN, Herbert, Hutchinson, who should bounce back really well. Roquan Smith, great volume tackler. Tyler Warren, tight end in Indianapolis. People are ready to crown him. You did get Caleb Johnson, Derwin James, all-time star for the Chargers. Jordan Addison, who I think will still be just as good as he was last year. Greenard, who is so good. And I looked when I put together the draft kit, Greenard's in the sacks. He's in the top 16, which is there as well. He had 12 last year. And then he also has, was it in the tackles as well? I don't know. He's so good. He's underrated for the Minnesota Vikings. Yeah. And then Boswell, like you talked about, Will McDonald, who is on my tier rankings this year. I think he's going to get a big jump for the New York Jets. And then Seattle Seahawks defense, which I like taking wide receivers in the NFC West because I'm worried about the other teams. Like San Francisco has no secondary. Arizona, outside of Budda Baker, has no secondary. So there's potential there to exploit some good teams right there with Seattle, and I think that's a great pick as well to close out the draft.
Oh, look at that. I didn't even think about that. Poor Mel was in between the two of you.
Oh, sorry.
What are you thinking there?
It wasn't on purpose.
Sam, do you any teams stand out to you?
Well, first, I love how colorful this draft board is. It's never normally like this.
It's true. Yeah.
I'm a graphic designer, so I love shapes and colors. It just keeps me entertained. Let's see. Ooh, there's just some interesting ones. I like this. I mean, I like seeing, again, teams that don't take QB early. I want to see who they ended up with. So the Drake May, Trevor Lawrence combo is pretty interesting to me. But then the Joe Burrow to Justin Fields, that little wait, I think that is a nice payoff. Fields is someone that I think a lot of teams can benefit from in Superflex, just to wait on quarterback a little bit. There's really good value late, and I feel like Fields is going to have a lot of that value again with rushing upside. Plus, that is a stout defense after Fields. Those picks, Edwards, Wagner, Spillane, Henley, that is a very, very burly defense. So that's
Iggy's over there going, yeah, that looks pretty damn good.
It's pretty good.
Henley's one of my rising stars. That was a great pick. He's going to be really great this year.
So yeah, that's an interesting one to me too. I like seeing the teams that will either wait completely on quarterback, or they'll do that big split where they take someone high and then they have a QB they wait on late. I mentioned Duarte earlier, who took Goff after that 6 stack of offensive players, and then he's got Stafford very late again because you're drafting defensive players in the middle here. You've got players like Stafford dropping a lot further. And then after that, Olave. Like, that is the very interesting just scale of players getting. And then Luvu after that. Like, that's a good team, too. I like that.
Really sneaky good. Really
sneaky
good.
Good. Mm-hmm.
Stafford's low in a lot of my drafts, though. I don't understand it. Why? You got Puka, you got Adams.
Yeah, if you're gonna have if Puka's gonna have a great year, he's got to have a great year because Matt Stafford's having a great year.
Yeah, exactly.
I kind of think it's actually a little bit of the Brady problem, where when later in his career, his efficiency is so good, you don't have the high volume of passes. You have efficient passes, but you don't have the same volume of passes that you say would get, with someone like Baker Mayfield, who's just chucking it everywhere. Bo Nix, better example for that, just constantly chucking down the field. So I think that's the difference in why he's falling so far, because though he is incredibly effective with amazing receivers, again, he's got Adams along with Nakua, he's just not going to be throwing that volume those other quarterbacks are throwing. So that's why I think plus he can't run.
Yeah, he's not real mobile.
He's always broken.
Yeah,
he's always
that's
broken.
True.
So
he's always broken.
He's always got something going on.
Well, this has been so much fun. I hope everybody learned a lot, learned about IDP, learned about Kawasaki disease. So Iggy, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Tell everyone where they can find you and how they can join the FF7.
Yeah, so my pinned tweet at IDP_Iggy on Twitter X, and then the link to fill out the form is there, and then the donation link is below it. I don't require a donation. If you want to go direct to donate to Kawasaki's Kids, that would be great. You can send me the screenshot if you want. But it's not a requirement though. It's just it's a each one teach one philosophy for me about Kawasaki's disease essentially. And come play this IDP league. If not this league, maybe try another one. I'm always pushing IDP. I think the fantasy football community as a whole should start embracing it more and more. And Travis Hunter could be the guy with the key to the lock. I mean, if he treats offensive players so well with his defensive statistics and Scott Fishbowl and in other leagues, I think we may have found the key to the lock. So come join us in IDP. It's not that bad. I promise you, it's a lot of fun, actually.
All right. And we can all find you at the sports affiliation, correct?
Yes, at the sports affiliation and at the fantasy alarm, but you'll be finding a lot of my work at the sports affiliation with betting as well in the NFL season.
Awesome. And big thanks to Sam. Welcome back this week. Thanks for riding the wave. Tell everyone where they can find you and what you're up to these days.
Absolutely. You can find me on Twitter at Samantha R. Holt and on Instagram at Sam_awesome. Lots of fun new stuff coming from Fantasy Life. Get very excited. Finally, the magazine is out. So if you haven't yet, go get it. Amazing things in there. The breakdowns from every single position. You've got your tier rankings as well as, the injuries to watch going into the season, the rookies, the sleepers. You've got literally everything. Plus,
the graphics.
There's drawings. I did some fun drawings that are in the magazine too. So lots of really fun stuff in the magazine. So definitely go check it out. Plus, lots of new things to come very, very soon. Can't talk about it, but they're coming soon.
All right. We've got news coming. All right.
News is coming.
I also want to thank Josh for being here tonight and every night for helping me with WOFF things. I want to give a quick birthday shout out to Rachel, aka Tootsie Pop. She's celebrating a birthday today. Happy birthday, Rachel. Thank you for giving women a fun place to talk ball and whatever else we want to talk about with Unwind. What happens, what's talked about in Unwind stays in Unwind though. But I hope the weather gets better for you in Minnesota. I know that they were not having a good night, but this has been the latest episode of WOFF's Mock Girl Summer. We're live every Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time up to the start of the NFL season. I will not be here next week. I know everyone's heartbroken, but I have a previous engagement with some fireworks. But we will have a new mock draft every week. So be sure to follow us on Twitter to participate in all of these mock drafts. We will all see you next week. I won't see you the following week. Everyone have a great night. Thank you for joining. Bye.